Hey guys, MOWG is going through huge upgrades. We're doing all these integrations. You guys have been seeing these like Calendly and Talk2 and callouts and pop-up module, exit module, different things, all right, that are absolutely cool. We got countdown timers, we got join our webinar links and some of the themes at the top right. They're just, all these things are happening is really, really cool. That's one of the evolutions. We're integrating PayPal and Stripe for ease, newsletters, so you can hook people up with join our newsletter for ease, all that stuff. Now, here's what I want to talk about next. The next big challenge that we had was we often get a lot more visitors to the web pages than signups, right? Maybe last week, 1,000 people came to your page and 5 people signed up. And you're like, that's 5 out of 1,000. Can I do better than 5 out of 1,000? I was hoping for 5 out of 100. Well, the first question is, how many of those 1,000 were bots? And the answer is, I have no idea. So we decided to attack that. First thing we did was get a list of 1,600 plus bots and literally block them all on our servers. So our servers automatically block known bots, except for the ones we like. We like Googlebot. We like BingBot, right? We like Slurp. These are bots that we keep active. And StackHunter, we like StackHunter. And those are bots that don't harm us any. It's okay if they come, okay? We can always adjust our expectations slightly. We can say, well, if 120 people came to the web page and I had 5 people sign up, I'm going to assume that 20 is the bot activity, but the other 100 is the humans, right? But here's the thing. We said, what else can we do? And a couple of things came to mind. One is, we could block all hits from outside the country, but it's not necessarily the right idea. Maybe yes, maybe no, but okay, that's a strategy choice. We can do things like that. It's harder on one website than it is on a server. On a server, we can just block access from countries to all of the websites. So these are decisions that we make in-house, and if people have their own private servers, even through us as part of a project, then they can set up the rules that affect all their websites on their own server. Okay. Having said that, we make smart rules for everybody, and so we have not blocked all the countries, except for the ones that we like. But we could block all the countries except for, say, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and England, and whatever other Western European countries we want to keep in the mix, say. We can do that. Okay. Having said that, though, let's go further. We wanted to know what's the difference between the activity. When a bot hits your website versus a human, what does a bot do differently than a human? We're actually interested in tracking human behavior on the website. Well, here's what we realized. When bots land on your webpage, they are not going to do this. That right there. This. Bots don't do this because bots are not using a browser usually anyway when they visit your web page, because it would slow them down. To wait for every web page to load on a browser window will slow a bot down. It wants to go through hundreds of web pages. Can't do that if it has to load the pages. What's the bot looking for? This view of your web page, like a notepad. There's no dynamic activity of any kind here, okay? This is what a bot's trying to read, because this is where a bot gets all the information from. It's how a bot reads your page. Okay, with that in mind, seeing that whole page has nothing to do with scrolling down on the front end, okay? Now, with that in mind, what we decided to put were invisible trigger points, okay? So this would be like a section 1 trigger point. And then if we scroll to the next thing down, the next section down on the page, that could be our section 2. Oh, so anyone who starts to scroll down will trip our section 2. And then if they keep going down, they get into the next section down here, this one, that trips section 3. And then if they go down, they trip section 4, section 5, section 6, section 7, section 8, section 9, section 10, and down to the pre-footer and the footer, which is just going to pop in here anyway. So no real reason to make section numbers on these. You know, by the time somebody gets to the bottom, they're at the bottom. Usually, I mean, we can put a section on the pre-footer anyway, and we probably will. Point is, we'll have markers like that. And because of that, we can track this way. Out of the 1,000 people who landed on the website, and this is information we're going to store in the admin panel. People who run their own websites can log in and check out a tab called, we're probably going to call it Report. And in that Report tab, you're going to be able to see things like this. 1,000 people hit the site, out of which, I don't know, 800 scrolled to section 2. 712 scrolled to section 3. The 602 scrolled to section 4. Then it came down to like, 400 people scrolled to here, and 280 scrolled to there, and 100 scrolled to here, and 24 scrolled this far down, and 2 scrolled that far down, and 1 scrolled that far down, and nobody scrolled this far down. And what does that allow us to do? Create the ratios immediately. Out of that 1,000 people, how many people saw this? 1,000. How many people saw that 80-odd%? How many people saw this? Like 70-odd%, 60-odd, 50-odd, 40-odd, 30-odd, 20-odd, 12, 5, 2% as we go down, right? So what's that mean? Well, say we wanted somebody to take an action. Like we know when they land on the page, they're mildly curious. If we put, hey, join our newsletter right here, they're not going to sign up for it because they're not interested enough yet. They only landed here. They're mildly curious. They don't want to go through all that hassle of adding their email, maybe also their name and phone, and submitting it without knowing whether they like anything. So they're going to keep going. Here's the problem. If your newsletter was here, they passed it. So say they get down to here, and then they kind of like on average, they're going somewhere in here. Awesome. And they don't come back. Well, guess what? We missed them with the newsletter altogether, right? What's that mean? We should have had the newsletter a little higher up. If this is as far as they go and they do not trigger the next section on average, or a certain percentage don't trigger that next section, then we should have put the email like right here in between these two things, okay? Except how would we know that, right? How would we know, okay? Now, the point is if the email's at the bottom, they're not going to see it. They're not going to sign up. That makes sense, right? Like we should move it up. So your final answer might be, well, what if we just have the newsletter everywhere? What if we have it like, hey, join our newsletter. Don't forget to join our newsletter. Hey, shouldn't you join our newsletter? What's going to happen? Don't forget to join our newsletter. People are going to start to blank it out in their mind's eye because they were skipping it, so they're going to keep skipping it. Very easy to do is to forget about it, even dislike it. So it's better just to put it in the right place, where at least 5% of the people scroll down to, or at least 10%, or at least 20%, wherever it is you're really going to put your mark. Now, you got to be realistic, Out of the people land on this, probably only about 8% are going to start scrolling down. Maybe 10, okay? And then from there, the numbers are going to go from like 10 to 8 to 4 to 2, right? To 0, like right away. So that's where knowing your numbers helps, right? Well, here's the coolest thing. What if you don't have to manage that manually at all? Okay, so one thing we're going to track is a scroll down, and based on that, we can make a rule. The rule saying if a certain percentage of people, wherever the percentage gets too low, put the newsletter above there, even above, in between those two sections that came above. The newsletter can move itself up based on the math. After it does, say 100 checks, say it does every 100 visitors to the page, it does the math. Right? If you do it too often, the thing will just move all the time and you won't get anything accurate at all. Humans are different. But if you take the average measurements, like once every, let's say you say 100, because you should be able to choose that. Maybe it's 25 that you want to check. Just, again, don't check too often, but maybe it's 25, maybe 100, right? So when those checks are run, then the newsletter can move itself. I'll give you another option. What if part of the idea of the page, like another measurement that's being made, is that people are stopping too soon? You know what might be happening? They go from whatever this concept is to whatever this concept is to whatever this concept is. They might just stop here and go, yeah, I was kind of interested, but then this sort of lost me a little bit. I'm not ready for this. Maybe they quit scrolling down. right? And so what's the idea? Shouldn't we try switching out some of these sections? See whichever other thing gets their attention first, and brings them around. So wouldn't it be interesting if our sections could switch each other? Like this is a good percentage down, that's a good percentage down, that's a bad percentage down. That means all the rest are bad percentages down. So now we can start trying some rules of switching some of the sections, bump the next section up. And then after the next 100 checks, if we're still getting good, but bads, bump the next section up. Now we're probably going to get good, further than before. And so then keep working with the last sections because it's always based on the math. Percentage of success followed by percentage of failure, followed by the test that we do, the twist that we make, the different attempts. That's interesting, isn't it? Well, there's another thing that makes that even more important. Like, you can't just rely on scroll down. So we have to have parallel measurements. When people scroll down, how many people watched the video? Did they click on it? Right? What if we want to enact a rule that says disregard in the measurements the clicks on the video? Because that's a different whole process. But, or even better, if they click the video and then click the click here. In other words, we're going to track something called on-click events. Somebody watching a video, we're going to track that. We're going to have a column that says out of the 100 visitors who landed on the page, 12 clicked the video. Out of the 12 who clicked the video, 1 clicked the click here to continue, based on whatever we got. And now we have really useful information that we could deal with manually, but just out of sheer fun and curiosity. We log into our panel and go, wow, those numbers are getting close. What am I missing in the middle? I think I should put a better title in here. I think I didn't put one in here. I need to. Maybe I'm going to switch the click here button to say something more useful. A different button's going to appear. Okay, that's doing it yourself manually. If we're tracking projects for you, we're the ones who are looking at the data and figuring these kinds of things out. We have enough people for that. And so there's that, okay? But then just tracking on-click events is important, isn't it? We can see the engagement. We can see what people did and where they went to. But in our admin panel with simple columns, how's that different than logging in and looking at Stack Counter or some other visitor tracking? Well, first of all, we're tracking within a page. We're tracking on-click events, scroll events. And the second thing is that we can make adjustments automatically. We can come up with a rule. It says move email newsletter up to satisfy minimum 5%. Okay? So if at least 5% of the people are actually hitting the submit button on the email newsletter, that on-click event right there, then that means don't move it. But if we find that people are scrolling past it a lot, we could set the percentage higher to see about moving it down on purpose to where the bottom active sensible section is. So we can change the percentage to move things up and down however we want. Now, what else with the on-click event? Say not enough people are watching the video. We can have a list of videos, and if out of 100 clicks, like only 3 watch the video and we need 5, then we can say swap to the next video link down. Okay, so try video number 2. So when the timer resets for the next 100 checks, all of these parallel activities are running separate from each other. Email's moving itself where it should, sections are swapping where they should, video is changing out where it should. In other words, the website is making multiple self-regulation, self-improvement attempts based exactly on tracking the numbers and then tracking the next stack, tracking the next stack, tracking the next stack to see if it's hitting its goals. So it can try the first video, then it can try the next video, then it can try the next video. And whenever it hits whatever marker we wanted, like that 5%, it'll just stop there. If we want to keep tracking new videos, we can add new videos in there and we can raise the number to 6% or 8% or whatever and force it to keep checking through the loop of other videos. Okay, and then we'll know where we really like it to stop. Like, this is the best that we're doing with that, and we got that to happen, right? So all of that self-control is one thing I'm pointing out. Being able to track scroll downs, being able to track on-click events, being able to shift the sections around automatically in the back end, okay? That is awesome. That's that part. We are in the middle of doing that. We are making this part of how we handle all our websites, and we're going to push all those updates through any website that's covered by projects that you guys get through Website Marketing Solutions, any projects that you guys are getting here, or any projects, any templates, any websites that you get off Website Installer. And for those of you who already bought websites off Website Installer, these upgrades will get pushed into your website behind the scenes as deactive until you choose to activate them. But they're just going to be there automatically, right? Because you're on the monthly subscription or the annual, so you get the updates automatically, okay? And then for those of you who get positions through Decrypt My Leads, all of this that we're doing will affect your positions too, because we're pushing this update through every one of those websites also, so the websites can regulate themselves better. Now, with that in mind, I want to make another point that's equally huge. We do lots of projects for people, as many of you know, that have many, many websites all acting together, right? So those websites that are acting together, guess what? For individuals, right, going through things like section placement, and these sections are getting flipped and they're getting deactivated or activated depending on our rules, and flipped around depending on our rules, reordered, okay? That is awesome, but there's going to be like a reports link up here, and you can go and it's going to show you everything. Oh, not only that, it's going to track to the IP address, okay? So if it's tracking to the IP address, then if you have a second visitor tracking and you need to compare those two, you can. As a matter of fact, we're going to look into StatCounter and maybe some other ones and see if they have an API where we can import the data that's happening live in StatCounter to match on the IP address on the inside of the admin panel. Because you know how cool that is? Because then you can see not just the IP address, you can see where it says it's coming from, what kind of a browser it says it is, whether it's on a phone or not. You can track the real humans that way who are actually doing good things by their IP address. So if you start hearing from them on a phone, you know what they were looking at and what they're interested in. Stuff like that. You can figure this stuff out, and we decrypt leads, so we can probably start putting a lot of information about people in with those IPs. I'm thinking further down the line, but this is doable stuff, certainly. That's amazing. It's amazing. So we know which of the leads are active, they're showing engagement, and which are not. So we can handle the engaged guys and not waste time on the inactive or potential bot guys. Does that make sense? Now let me get back to my other point. We do tons of websites at the same time that all make these controls literally subdomain by subdomain. So if we add 10 websites times 20 subdomains, that's 200 different cases of this happening in parallel. You know what that means we get to do? Each one of them can use its own stack of rules. We could take like, we could take the first one and say, do a check every 25. The second one and say, do a check every 50. Third one say, do a check every 75. Fourth one, do a check every 100. And then we could say for the first one, set it to 5%. And the next one, set it to 10%. The next one, set it to 8%. The next one, set it to 12%. And we can do that through our stacks of websites. So we can have different measurement periods with rollover. We can have different achievement bars to reach, right? In each case. And we can set the actions we want the videos to loop through to be whatever stacks we want through that. And the way we do that is remote control through the websites, because that's how we build them. They're liquid, living documents to us. We can update all these websites in whatever ways we want. We can change numbers remotely in tons of websites at once. We can create the actions and amend them that way. But here's the other part of it that becomes even cooler, because this is also doable. Each of those websites generates a report. Once every, let's say once every month. We can, and it'll start off manual but become automatic. We can download the reports to a central spot and compare them, find the best numbers, find the max, find the min, whatever it is, in every case. YouTube videos that get the most clicks. take the best numbers and push those updates back out through all the websites. So even if certain videos on this website over here were not in the mix, but they are in the mix over here, they're doing much better, and it's a collective project where the videos could go in either place, we can populate the best video to start playing on all of them right now. And the best section combinations, like whatever the combinations are that are causing the furthest down scale, we can force the rearrangement of the sections across the entire spectrum for all the matching templates, because we have different templates, so they'll each match according to each other. All the template number 3s will match all the other template number 3s. You know, all the template E's will match all the other template E's, right? How's that for awesome? We can even make rules for background colors. Is it better with a yellow background or a cool color like blue or a hot color like red? We can cycle through and see how that affects the impact. And literally all the reports, when they get downloaded, cause this cross-pollination of information, this sort of communication between the websites, if you will. It's as though all the websites came to the Chamber of Commerce meeting and handed out their cards and spoke about what they do right. And the best answers get transmitted back through the group or in sets. Because we can do this in sets. We can have these collaborate, those collaborate on a different set of rules, these collaborate on a different set of rules, for whatever reason. They're based on different templates, they're based on different siloed sets of contents, and so it would be weird to cross the line, but we can do them in sets. And all of this is doable. All of this is what we're going to do, okay? So just letting you know that this is what's happening now. I've never heard of any other website builder that thinks that way, that can operate that way. I mean, it's bordering on AI. Websites that learn how to take checks, that learn how to perform actions, that learn how to compare the actions, that learn how to rebroadcast the best results back out. Nuts for cool, isn't that? That's what I think is extremely important. And if it's capturing the information on the IP addresses and decrypting the people along the way, wow. So for anybody that wants to contact people, add people to newsletters, reach out via postal mail with a trifold, like the RoofMax guys, they started sending the trifolds out to the people who visited the website for the addresses we caught that were in the area, talking about the roofs, because they're interested right now, right? And it's a hard thing to describe or get someone to watch a video for, but if they see the trifold saying, hey, you know, redo your roof for $2,000 instead, $187 a month instead of $20,000, and it's sprayed to add 5 years to the life for free. I mean, you can do this in a trifold really fast, right? You can make that information interesting to the homeowner. So there you have it. This stuff is amazing, and it applies to anything and everything that we've ever done. And it is a game changer because it allows us to measure engagement. And measuring engagement means we can reach the right people right now and get them to want to sign up because they want to, because we moved the box to the right place. They see it now, and they're interested in it now. Because we tried a bunch of different messages and let the sites collaborate and share the message back out for the push button. How's that for insane? I think we're the only guys doing it. I've never heard of it before. Maybe it's being done on a high level. I'll tell you this. Google measures where pixels are on a web page. They can tell you hotspots. So far, it's information. You know where hotspots are if you look up a graph, a hotspot graph. In our case, we're going way beyond that. We're having the websites make smart decisions based on those results. We're setting up our rules. And we're having a stack of websites collaborate to see whose rules are working out best, which rules are working out best, apply those rules and those outcomes to the other sites so that they all perform at that higher level. And that can be in sets. How's that for nuts? Okay, there you go. There's the craziness of the world we're in right now. So that's the end of this video. I'm going to do another video where I talk about something equally mind-blowing that's entirely different. But obviously, these things will coordinate together. So just letting you know, This is nuts, but very cool. I'm very glad to see everybody coming on. Choose your weapon. Either you're coming here and getting something, or you're going here and setting yourself up with a what? Do you know you can get a website from here that fills itself out with your information, company information? If you have it, it's optional. And it's for the cities you want it to be for, either the biggest cities nationwide or one local area. And for your keywords, it can use your videos. It can even use your external authority links and stuff if you want to put them in. Or it'll use defaults that are already plugged in. But the website builds itself in about 3 minutes for you, and it creates 100 pages into the sitemap for you that are for those surrounding areas times those keywords. Yeah, in other words, a page built for everything. If you live in South Bend, Indiana, and you've got South Bend, Mishawaka, Elkhart, Goshen, Chicago, right? Well, you're a plumber. Then you've got like water heater installation. Well, we're going to have a page for South Bend water heater installation, a different, uniquely written page for Mishawaka water heater installation, different one for Elkhart water heater installation, different one for Goshen water heater installation, Chicago water. But then we also have like sewage tank replenishment. That's going to be a different page written for every one of them. The other keywords too. So keywords times cities, like 10 by 10 or whatever. Isn't that cool? So your website makes itself in about 3 minutes with the domain name you wanted, because you can buy it right from this page. You don't need to go create a GoDaddy account anymore. You just get it on this page during your order. And you can pay monthly or pay annually, and we'll push all the updates through your website in the back end. So anything you feel like going and engaging, like the blogs, you can just go in and engage. How's that sound? Crazy. Anyway, there's that. And then, of course, for those of you who just want to be entirely hands-off and you want to get a position and let us do all the work and pick up your share of income, these bigger real estate projects for an area that you want to choose, larger to smaller population, these are expensive, okay? It's like Website Installer's the cheapest. Website Marketing Solutions has an array of pricing that goes from cheap to expensive. The Crib My Leads also has an array of positions that go from cheap to expensive. The larger the population, the higher the competition, the more we have to do to beat it. Okay, so expenses are high for an offset of 4. Anything with an offset of 4 is really, really high. But guess what? We also have lower offsets. Okay, you could do podiatrist, all right, for a given area, and that's just $3,000. By the way, when you claim the position, you got to sign up and sign in so that you have a position section that you can log into to track everything. Not just that, but this also offers you pay by 4 when possible through PayPal payments, so you can make a quarter payment every 2 weeks to pay it off. So instead of having to pay $3K all at once, say, or whatever, well, actually, I don't know what the cutoff is for pay by 4. It might only be like $1,250. So it might be something, where you're actually having to come down lower, like an offset of 0.5 or 0.25, whatever. Oh, that's a 2.5. I meant 0.5. There are offsets of like 0.5. It's TV repair. I really wouldn't do too much with it. But there are guys who collect antique TVs and they have to look for parts, transistors that nobody has anymore. So it is worth something, because when we put this lead information out for companies to decide if they want to buy the leads, they can see what the guy's looking for and decide if they can handle that or not. So you make money when they buy that lead, because it's worth it to them, because they have that transistor in stock and it costs a lot because it's rare, right? So anyway, the lower the offset, the easier it is to compete online for the thing. Veterinarian, okay? But whatever the price is for a pay by 4, instead of paying for something like, let's say $2K, instead of having to pay for that all at once, you pay $500 every 2 weeks until you pay it off. I don't think there's any interest applied to a pay by 4 through PayPal. And then finally with PayPal is PayPal Credit, and PayPal Credit is up to your credit, but then it can let you get very large projects like these through PayPal Credit. So it's an instant application, instant answer, and you can get it. and they're going to charge you like no interest for 6 months as long as you pay it off within 6 months at any rate of speed you want. There's no minimum. Okay, so PayPal credit is really awesome. All right, as a credit option. Right. Aside from that, one of the things that we're thinking about doing is just going through Landing Tree. Partnering with it really just means this. There are 2 ways that you can go for loans in here that you can get really, really fast answers on, like in seconds. There are business loans and personal loans. So if you're a person getting a position, you'd go for a personal loan if you need it, want it, or want to get a partial, you want to pay it off partially that way. Get whatever you need for that. Like maybe it's a $10,000 position, you want a $5,000 loan. You would apply here, get answered very, very quickly, get the funds quite quickly, and then be able to get your position. For those of you doing it for business on purpose, especially those of you who want a position for your own area, and so you're going to use it as an actual business expense for increasing the marketing in your area through our system, then get a business loan. Okay? Now, the point is personal loans are for personal, business loans are for business, and you just start in. You say, well, this is me, and, you just say, if that's me, and you just follow through. How much money do you need? Okay, shit, I need 20K for this position or whatever it is, and continue. And it just walks you through. What are you getting it for? And you just say something, usually we say expansion. Expansion's another way of saying marketing, but it's a better way to say marketing. It means something better. The interest rate's usually better, but it's the same thing. Expansion counts. How quickly do you need the money? Well, you only need it as quickly as you need it. You might say within a week, you might say 2, you might say a month. Usually your rates are going to be better if you say something that's not this, right? If you do either one of these is cool. Unsure means, I don't even know about my plan. I would never choose that. But these are the best 2, okay? And there you go. Just keep going. They might still give it to you in minutes. Well, the answer in minutes, you might still get it inside of a week. But you're just telling them, I'm not in that much of a rush. I'm getting there, but I'm still, dotting my I's and crossing my T's. Within a week says, it's an impulse thing I want to write out, And so anyway, personal loans, business loans, very simple through Landing Tree. Look at that, an exit pop-up. We have an exit pop-up now built into the system. We're going to do more and more with that. Look at how cool this is. Don't leave yet. You'll have a few more quick questions. Continue to see the quotes, and I almost feel like I should turn this off and continue. Or either way, heck, anything will do it. I like that. We can do different things with our exit pop-ups. I'm going to point this one out to our guys and say, you know what? I like that format. Let's do something like that. That'll become an option. Okay, just wanted to do this video to explain what's going on, how valuable it is. And again, I've yet to do the other video for the other thing. So yeah, I will. And just trust me, this stuff is amazing. All right, glad to see all of you guys getting on board, getting the things you want to get, whether you're getting something through Marketing Solutions or if it's better suited for you to do yourself a website, or if you're coming through here and getting a position. This is the most exciting stuff. You get paid per lead as we sell leads to the guys in the industries you get, in the areas you get. And if it's not enough, if we're not able to get you enough, because our requirement, it's a certain number of times over on your return within a year. And if we miss the mark, we got to owe you the next year too until we hit that minimum amount, which is like 3 times over to 6 times over whatever you spent. Okay? The more you're spending, the higher the return, because the more you're spending, the more leverage we have to pull that off. But also because different people are getting these, we're creating that safety net layer where we're able to make sure to cover everybody. And our goal is to hit everyone at least 6 times over in a year. You earn the max from your positions, and then you've got a safety net to back everything else up. And having said that, so if you got, say you paid 10K, and then the first year you got 4 times back, that'd be 40K. And then the next year we still owe you, but because the thing ran really well, that next year it's 12 times back. Well, you got 12 times back and 4 times back is 16 times back on your money in 2 years. Who's going to argue that? So that's just the coolness of it all. And anyway, real estate project that's very, very hot right now. And then Roof Max, that does 3 times back on your money. That's very hot. This is a way to go. Okay. One thing about Roof Max, We're probably going to have to move your area to something of equivalent population because RoofMax is opening all around the nation in different cities in real time. And some of the problems that we have right now with guys who got in, they got in for Tampa, they got in for Orlando. And guess what happened? A hurricane went through. What do hurricanes do? They rip shingles off the roof. Okay, you can't just spray the roof anymore. You have to replace the roof, right? So what do we have to do with positions that were in those areas? We have to run around and go apply to positions in other areas to get leads to positions in the other areas, okay? No big deal. It's just more time. But again, we're on the hook for trying to make that stuff happen fast so we can get you covered as fast as we can. Our goal is to get you paid the amount that you should be getting paid during that first year, because that's where we maximize our earnings over the long term, right? But if we miss that goal, we also owe you for the next whole year, no matter how much that turns out to be. Having said that, what was the other thing I was going to... Oh yeah, as you're getting payments, what can you do with your payments? You can get more positions. You can say, you know what, this is doing really well. Now I want to boost my way up to a real estate project payment. You know, I want to go bigger, right? Or I want to get another RoofMax position in a different metro area. You can do that. You can do any of this stuff. So I'm just telling you, this stuff is unfolding, and our way of controlling the value and the quality of the websites and the results is unfolding. So this is amazing because we're entering territory where our competitors cannot keep up. You know what our competitors have to do? Guess what's happening when people don't convert on their website? Most of them really don't know much about what it means. They don't know much about what to do about it. And then they have to pay money every time they want to make a change to their website because they got to pay their webmasters to make manual changes. We want our websites to maximize the automation involved, to minimize the cost to you and us for having to make any changes. We want the changes to control themselves as smartly as possible without needing us, so that the only thing you're having to pay us for is that final bit of absolute human effort that must happen because bots just can't do it. Okay? All right. Hope you find this interesting. Can't wait to see you get involved. Can't believe my 50th birthday is coming up on October 22nd, by the way. Just if anyone wants to say happy birthday. 2 weeks from now. How crazy is that? All right. Talk to you later.